Hey everyone, it's Ms. Spencer. Today we'll be reviewing volume with unit cubes and the volume formula. The objective for today is that students will be able to use the volume formula to find the volume of rectangular prisms. We're going to start with a review of area. Here we have a rectangle. The side lengths measure 1 and 4/10 centimeters by 2 and 6/10 centimeters. What we're going to do is multiply these side lengths to figure out the area inside the rectangle. When we're multiplying by decimals, what we can do is rewrite each of these factors in unit form. So 2 and 6/10 can also be written as 26/10. 1 and 4/10 can be rewritten as 14/10. Now we can go ahead and multiply the whole numbers. 4 ones times 6 ones is 24 ones, and we carry the 2 to the tens place. 4 ones times 2 tens is 8 tens, plus 2 tens is 10 tens. So the 26 times 4 is 104. Now we're going to multiply the top factor by 1 in the tens place. Because the 1 is in the tens place, we're going to add a 0 in the ones place at the bottom. 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 2 is 2. Now that we've multiplied all the digits, we can add our two products together. 4 plus 0 is 4, 0 plus 6 is 6, and 1 plus 2 is 3. Finally, we're going to multiply tenths times tenths since those are our units. Tenths times tenths is hundredths. Now we're going to rewrite our answer or product in standard form. 364 hundredths can be rewritten as 3 and 64 hundredths. Notice the 4 is in the hundredths place. Now let's move on to reviewing the volume vocabulary. Here we have a unit cube. We can use unit cubes to help us measure volume or the amount of space that a rectangular prism makes out. A unit cube consists of length, width, and height. We can put all these unit cubes inside a rectangular prism. A rectangular prism also has length, width, and height. It is a three-dimensional or 3D figure, which means it takes up space. It's rectangular prism, meaning that the side lengths are rectangles. Here we have our rectangular prism filled with unit cubes. We can use this to help us find the volume. Volume is the amount of space it takes to fill an object. Notice here in our cube or rectangular prism, the bottom is completely filled with unit cubes. That is known as a layer. There are 9 unit cubes that make up this layer. When trying to find volume, we can find the number of unit cubes on each layer and then multiply that by the total number of layers. The layer is also known as the base. So when we're using the formula, we can multiply the base, which is which is length times width, and we can multiply that by the height. Here we have a cube. Notice a cube's dimensions of length, width, and height are all the same. Each side measurement is 10 centimeters. When all the side measurements are the exact same, we know that it is a cube. Remember from last week, length and width are interchangeable. That means that if we turned the rectangular prism on the side, the length, what was the length, can now be the width, and the width can be now known as the length. The formula for volume is length times width times height. We're going to use this to help us find the volume of rectangular prisms in this lesson. So let's find the volume of this rectangular prism. Notice here, the length is 2 units because there's 2 unit cubes going across. The width is 4 units because there's 4 unit cubes going back. And the height is 2 units because there's 2 units or 2 layers going up and down. The formula for volume is length times width times height. So we're going to multiply 2 units times 4 units times 2 units. We know 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 times 2 is 16. So 16 units or cubes are used to make this rectangular prism, which means the volume is 16 cubic units. Remember, we're multiplying units times units times units. So that would be units to the power of 3, which is cubic units. If we turned it on its side, the length would now be 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. The width would be 2 units. 1, 2. And the height is 2 units. 1, 2. The formula is 4 units times 2 units times 2 units because it's length times width times height. 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 2 is 16. So even though the length and width were changed, we know that we can still multiply all these dimensions by each other to get 16 cubic units. Let's try another one. In this rectangular prism, the length is 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The width is 2 units. 1, 2. And the height is 3 units. 1, 2, 3, which means that there's 3 layers. The formula is length times width times height. So 5 units times 2 units times 3 units. Well, 5 units times 2 units is 10 units, and 10 times 3 units is 30 units. So the volume is 30 cubic units. We can turn the rectangular prism on its side. The length is now 2 units. The width is now 5 units, and the height is 3 units. So we can multiply 2 units by 5 units by 3 units. 2 units times 5 units is 10 units, and 10 units times 3 units is 30 cubic units. Let's try to find the volume of this rectangular prism. The length is 2 units, 1, 2. The width is 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the height is 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to multiply all these dimensions together. 2 units times 4 units times 4 units. 2 units times 4 units is 8 units. And 8 units times 4 units is 32 cubic units. So the volume is 32 cubic units. We can move this rectangle on its side and say the length is now 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. The width is 2 units, 1, 2, and the height is 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the formula would be 4 units times 2 units, which is 8 units, and 8 units times 4 units, which is 32 cubic units.